Hi, everyone. Welcome to this wealthmanagement.com Fast Chat. I'm David Armstrong, the editor of wealthmanagement.com. Today, I'm joined by Adrian Durham, who's the Group CEO and founder of FNZ. Adrian, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you very much, and good to meet you, David.
Adrian, I'm going to start by asking you, do you think that the wealth management industry, as it's structurally composed today, really serves the needs of investors?
I think some of the challenges with the wealth management industry today is that it's very long and very disintermediated and fragmented value chain. So as an investor, I'm ultimately investing in securities issued by companies, debt and equity securities, and in between me and the things I'm actually investing in are managers, custodians, lots and lots of pieces of software and other ancillary services, as well as advisors. And if you put all that together, there's anywhere between 5 and 10 different counterparties in that value chain, often with multiple copies of my data, my instructions, and my interests. And a lot of them don't talk to each other particularly well or particularly efficiently. And that leads to a number of problems. I think, firstly, a lot of the transparency in what I'm actually invested in is lost. I think, secondly, as a result of poorly integrated systems, services, and providers, a lot of the information is not always up to date and accurate, and the costs of delivering the service through all those counterparties is significantly higher than it should be. And finally, if I want to move my wealth management service in line with some of the more important trends in this industry, or in all industries, like, for example, personalization of content, information, and in this case, my portfolio, because of the number of counterparties involved in that, and the often either poor technology or poorly integrated technology in that process, I can't achieve very much personalization. So those are the key challenges that I think that I think investors in particular face in the sector today.
Sure. So what is FNZ doing to help with that? What are you guys doing to help ensure that investors are able to get access to good investment opportunities?
Yes, I think firstly, we combine a lot of the technology and services into a single place. I think and employ end-to-end in that process a lot of very modern technology. And that means that information can pass end-to-end accurately in real time. It can solve some of the transparency issues that I talked about through automation. It can solve some of the cost issues that I talked about. And since it's all modern and API enabled, it means that where there are different software and services available, those can be seamlessly integrated in real time. So I think what we aim to do is leverage modern technology provided as a service in the very core infrastructure of this industry, and then enable that to be better connected through APIs to all the different counterparties, so that these challenges around fragmentation, cost, integration, transparency, and the real-time flow and accurate flow of information end-to-end can be greatly improved. I think finally we provide all of that capability as infrastructure to the existing players in the industry. So rather than trying to disrupt or replace the people who are the trusted advisors of wealth management, financial advice today, or management of assets, we work with all those people to improve what they do behind the scenes, rather than trying to disrupt or replace them.
Got it. We hear a lot about personalization these days. I mean, to what degree do you think investors are really going to be seeking personalization when it comes to investment advice?
Sure. So I think personalization is the big trend in most industries that has emerged over the last 15 to 20 years, again, through technology, innovation, and things like the internet. And it has become what people in most sectors really expect. I think that's been late coming to the wealth management industry, which to a great extent still relies on things like mutual funds, which are a one-size-fits-all solution for the mass market, have no personalization or customization, and were originally created as a vehicle to solve technology problems from anywhere between 50 and 100 years ago. So I think investors expect personalization in the same way that they do in every other industry with which they interact. They expect to know exactly what they're invested in. They expect to make some changes to that based on things that are important to them, themes that are important to them, and they expect that rather than just buying one size fits all solution, I'll have a solution that is personally tailored to my needs around not just risk, but my precise schedule of cash flows over my lifetime, the flexibility to change and update that as I go, as well as reflecting thematically things which I care about over and above pure investment performance, if that's the case. And I think all that means that I expect a portfolio to be continuously and automatically built around my personal needs and requirements. And that's an expectation which people have, which I think is been perhaps a little bit slow to come to financial services and in particular wealth management due to some of the challenges I mentioned before around the length, disintermediation and fragmentation of the value chain.
Something else that we've been hearing a lot about is the great wealth transfer, right? As one demographic prepares to pass a bunch of wealth on to the next as they approach retirement. And we're talking about this globally. What challenges do you think this presents to the wealth management industry?
Yeah, sure. This is, I think this is a significant challenge. As I mentioned before, one of the things we do is rather than just disrupt, we aim to support the trusted relationships which advisors and wealth managers have with their clients. And I think that is something which is often built up over many, many years. And so it's a shame if, as and when it's passed on to the next generation, those relationships are lost. And so I think it's key that to preserve the value in these trusted relationships that we provide and support a structure whereby it can effectively be passed on, not just the wealth itself, but the relationships between advice and wealth management firms and the successes for the wealth and the portfolio that's been built up over many decades. And I think the way that can be achieved is firstly focusing on a very household-centric view of wealth. So not just the current primary beneficiaries who may be the people who've created that wealth, but the full relationship that those beneficiaries have with all of the people who might inherit or be otherwise a beneficiary of that wealth in the future, not just inherit, but might benefit, say, in a charitable sense. And that's something which can absolutely be supported by technology, allowing these complicated relationships across, in terms of the owners and beneficiaries of wealth to be mapped out, allowing the different types of people involved in those relationships to perhaps receive wealth management services concurrently in a different way. So, for example, younger generation probably has a different expectation about how their wealth is managed and how they engage with it than the older generations, and enabling all of that to be managed through a single wealth firm in a household relationship through these multiple channels concurrently is firstly something that technology can absolutely help with, and something secondly which I think is critical to ensuring that wealth is successfully passed on, but also that it is the relationships between the beneficiaries of that wealth and future generations and the wealth management and advice firms are preserved and enhanced through that handover period.
Sure. So we've talked a little bit about the fractured nature of the ecosystem, personalization, and the great wealth transfer. Take a step back and tell us what you think the wealth management industry looks like in the future.
Sure. So I think in the future, our vision for wealth is that firstly, it's much more transparent than it is now. Every investor, whether they're very wealthy or less wealthy or mass affluent or mass market, has transparency and visibility on what they're invested in at the security level. They can appoint managers freely for different parts, for different asset classes, for different parts of that. And they can have the decisions that they make reflected end to end and something that is close to real time, that they can engage with that in a way which is much more personalized than it is now, in addition to being transparent. So they can ensure that it's a wealth management portfolio that's built directly around their needs and requirements, and only their needs and requirements, which is something which is very personal to them. And they can overlay onto that and control things which are important to them that go beyond necessary, the pure issue of risk and return. So I think, and then topping all that off, it's much more efficient, and we ensure that the things that people pay for in this industry are the things that they care about: the trusted relationship, the generation of outperformance, but not all of the infrastructure which holds it all together and facilitates that. That needs to disappear into the background. So end to end, we see a future which is transparent, which is personalized around the needs of the investors, and which is also extremely efficient, at least in the parts of the value chain which investors want to be less concerned about, and allows them to focus on the things that they do care about.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much. Adrian Durham, Group CEO and founder of FNZ. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.